have the same questions, but don't want to. Put the mask up over your nose or leave. If you're not gonna do it right, leave. Number 13, promissory notes. So anytime you hear promissory notes, you're just basically thinking about paying back a loan, right? Just a different way of saying a loan. So it says Phyllis borrowed $3,200 to pay for a new roof. She signed a 6-month promissory note at 12% interest. Find the amount of interest Phyllis must pay, then find the amount she must repay to her bank when the note comes due. Does everybody understand the question? First off. Again, if you don't understand the question, you can't really do the problem. All right, good talk. Are we wasting our time doing this or what? Are we gonna participate? Again, we don't have to do this. We can take the test right now. But by what some of you did yesterday, okay? I don't know if you need to go sit and put your head next to Jeff and try to get some osmosis out of it or something. I don't know. So what are we gonna do for 13? Somebody besides Jeff. Are you telling me or are you asking me? You're telling me. So if we do what you said we're gonna take the $3,200 times 0.12. Well, what do we have to do?
Divided by times a half.
Times a half, why?
Says it's 6.
Perfect. So we're gonna either times a half or divide by 2. So the amount of interest we're gonna pay is $192. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
So, well, what's the second part of the question say?
You have to add 32.
To whatever we got in the first part, right?
Yeah.
Does everybody understand why we divided by 2?
Yeah. You have to divide the 2 by the 12%.
Doesn't matter, you can do that whenever you want.
Okay.
You just divide by 2. You could have done it as a 6-month thing.
So could you at the very end, like, do the
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay? The rest of that section is all about promissory notes, but that's basically the gist of it. Go over to number 17. Now we need a simple interest table. So turn back, way back at the beginning. Number what? We're looking at number 17 now. Our simple interest table is on page 179. So it says, use the simple interest table to find the exact interest on. So here's another question, right? What's exact interest?
365.
When we're talking about daily interest rate, it's for 365 days. What's ordinary? 360. What? You remember what else we could call ordinary interest? Who uses ordinary interest the most? Bankers, right? So it could be called the banker's interest. Alright? But it says use the simple interest to find the exact interest on $470 for 10 days at 9%. So you can use the table, or you can do it in your head, or just in the process. Meaning you could just stick it into the formula again. So it's totally up to you which one you want to do. Alright, you're going to get the exact same answer. Okay? If you use the table, we're going to do what?
Go to 10,
Go to 10, go to 9.
times that by 470.
Right, so the table gives you a multiplier, right? And the multiplier is basically helping you to find your interest. Or you could stick it into the formula, right? And the formula in this case would be using exact interest. So we would take the number of days, which is 10 over 365, times our 470, right? And then times the 0.09. Should get the exact same thing. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it.
You have to
For which one? I believe so. Did anybody use the multiplier?
If you use the table, you just do 470 times that multiplier.
No, we're gonna do 470 divided by 100. Because remember, see how the table says the interest on $100 for 365
So it'd
days?
be 4.7.
So we're gonna do 4.7 times the multiplier. Okay? So if you do 4.7 times the multiplier, stick it into your calculator, what do you get? 115.9, so we'd round it up to 116. Okay? How about B?
Wait, do you multiply that by the 10 over 365, or when do you do that?
Did you use the multiplier?
Yeah.
Then you don't have to do any of the other thing. It's an either or thing. Okay, so if you want to use the table, then you would go through that process. All right.
So when you find that 1.16, you just be like $116.
No, 1.16 is my answer.
Oh,
Because it's the amount of interest I'm going to pay in that amount of time. This should be a really, really small answer,
oh,
right? The interest that you're paying on this is going to be really, really small. Unless you have a ginormous number at the beginning.
I didn't know if you had to bring it back.
No. Nope. Okay. So remember, you're saying we're investing $470, but only for 10 days. So you shouldn't get a lot of money for your interest.
And about justice.
Yes. So try B then. Basically the same thing, but now we're doing 40 days and 10%. So if you want to use the,
Is
say it one more time.
Isn't that split? Don't you have to split? Like that 40 days?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're going to use the table, you have to split it up into something that equals 40, right? So I could do 20 times 2, or I could do 30 and 10, but whatever I do, I'm going to add those together.
So do you still use the same percent, even if it's split the 20?
Yep, yep.
Would you still just be able to use, for if it's exact, 470 times 0.10 times 40 over 365?
Yes. So if you punch that into your calculator, you should get the exact same answer that somebody does, or punching it into your other,
Yeah.
or using the multiplier.
Yeah.
So 470 times 4 divided by 365 times.
So, you would have, if you did
5.15.
you'd have to multiply it by 2, right? Yeah.
Say it again.
You'd have to multiply by 2 at the end, right?
If what?
If we did our multiplier, if we had 20 and 20.
Yes.
You do 20 once multiplied by 2.
Yes. Or you could just do that 20 and add it to itself.
So 5
Right. So Derek, it works both ways, right?
Yep.
So it works both ways, right? You can use the table, or you can just use I equals PRT. Again, the exact interest just tells you that you take your days and divide it by 365. Okay? So you can, $5.15. Everybody get that? Okay? Everybody understand?
Yeah.
Again, so on the test, it might say use the table, but you don't have to use the table. Alright? If you understand I equals PRT better, and you don't like the table, some of you don't like tables, that's fine. So like the ordinary and exact interest, like in 19 and 20, would be the same thing. We just have to make sure that we count the days right. So remember when we're doing March 5th to May 12th, you'd have to count the number of days. You'd have to know how many days are in March, April, and May. And then again, make sure that you, when it's in the same month, you're just subtracting. But if it's in different months, you're going to use the beginning date and the end date. Okay? When you're in the same month, you can subtract the two straight up. Okay? If you're going to have different months, you want to add the beginning date and the last day. Cause I'm including both of those.
Oh, this question's kind of dumb. Like, you're doing that thing on your knuckles, you know?
Yep.
If you have to go to the next year, say like. it's
The
like
next
December,
year.
Say it's like December to the next one.
But you're starting in January, bud.
Would you restart over here?
Yes.
Okay.
You only have to do 1 month on your knuckles.
Yeah, how did we get here?
That's
How
all-
did we
that's-
get-
that's
I don't
all
know.
I needed to know.
On
Some of us-
Do we have to like restart?
Some of us don't know how to round, some of us don't know the months, some of us don't know how to use a calculator.
This new one's working great.
Oh,
On
I'm
number
done
17,
with everyone.
where it's exact, why don't we use the?
you can use that in I equals PRT or use the table.
Oh, so instead of.
Well, yeah, what you do?
365.
Hey.
No, I'm gonna put 10 over 365 and make a fraction.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Alright, so, what do we come up with? Anybody do number 19? How many days are we doing in 19? How many?
I'm just guessing.
January, February, March,
Yeah,
April.
are you stupid?
How many in April? Eric?
30?
30 in April. So how many days in May are we gonna do?
12?
12, okay. How many in March?
31 minus 5.
31 minus 5? 26. So 26 plus 30 is 56 plus 12? 68. I honestly don't know what the answer is. So we're gonna take that over ordinary, which means what?
360.
360 times 0.08 times 5,500.
Simple math.
83.1?
83.
Wait.
$83.11.
Wait.
Why did you say that's wrong? This is the other thing. You gotta be confident in yourself. That you can do it.
Say
What
it.
is the
Say it.
Okay.
That is not what I got.
Alright. There.
Probably why.
$83.11.
This calculator, it never fails.
Alright. Everybody watching? So the number of months or days we said was 68, right?
Yeah.
Everybody understood that?
Yeah.
And we said it was ordinary, so we're using 360, 60. So this is my what?
Time.
This is time.
Hi.
This is time. What's my percent?
0.009. Is it?
And how much?
0.08.
5. Wait, 8?
5,500? So punch that into your calculator and you should get $83.11. Except for Mr. Nillis, because he didn't think it was right. So Mr. Nillis would have done it right, but he would have put down a different answer because that one just didn't feel right.
Probably.
And then he would have been mad and said, well, I had that. Right?
That's exactly likely.
Alright, let's count the number of days in number 20. Count the number of days in number 20, because that's still some of your biggest problems, right?
Yeah. I just don't know how many days are in each month.
Well,
It's 30, 31, 31.
It's what?
30, 31, 31. July, August.
30, 31, 31.
Yeah.
32 days. Okay, I don't understand that.
64.
January.
64.
Can you let everyone do it before you shout the answer?
64.
Okay, what?
I got 61.
You said January 31.
Whichever one's on the knuckle is 31.
Right.
Wait,
64.
Do you understand the knuckle thing?
30.
No, I do not.
Okay.
And
Put your,
Justin's over here yelling.
Hey.
Shut up.
put your fists together.
Yes.
So your two things are, and start on either end. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
That is January. February, March, April, May, June, July.
Yep.
And then August, September, October, November, December. Anything that's on the top knuckle is automatically 31 days. Every single time.
63.
The ones in your groove are 30, except for February. That's only 28.
30, 31.
August has
No, 31, 30.
Oh, 31, 30. Wait, that's February though.
Okay, then that's 28. February is the only weird one.
Oh.
So then it's 31, 30, 31, 30, 31, 31. July and August are the only ones that go back to back 31. 30, 31, 30, 31.
So there's not one
Then you gotta go back to the beginning, because otherwise you get screwed up. That's what Derek was asking. Because otherwise you start here and then you would have gone here, but it's really here. So don't start a new year on the same set of fists, because you'll end up in a divot.
I didn't know if it was one of those things where like here and then start back here.
Right. Just go back to your other one. But it doesn't matter which side you start on. All right, so what are we on? 20? We went from June to August. Obviously, July has what? 31. So August has 31, but we're only to the 15th, right? So we don't even care about 31 for that one. We're just counting 15 days. Okay? And then how many in June? 30, but where did we start? 17, so subtract them, right? 30 minus 17 is 13, plus 31, plus 15, right? So a grand total of what? 63. Is that what you had?
Yeah.
96 what? 0.31. So we're taking that, what'd you say again, for the number of days?
63.
We're taking 63, but now we're doing exacts. So the thing that changes here is our number over 365. And then use your percentage and whatever the number, or the loan number was. Alright?
Can you technically take 365?
Divide by 365?
Yeah.
Yes. You can divide or multiply, that kind of stuff, wherever you want. Multiplication and division is a little different than adding and subtracting.
Okay, what's the answer?
96.
I didn't ask.
$96.31.
Thank you.
Alright,
I didn't ask you.
are we good? Leave each other alone. 22 is the next one. You can buy a DVD player for $250 cash or pay $50 down and the balance in 12 monthly payments of $18. What is the installment price? By what percent would your installment price be greater than the cash price? So, first things first, the installment. How do we're going to kind of tack on something to this. How do I figure out what my interest or my interest is in this?
Find what the installment is and minus by the original.
Exactly right. So, first off, what is my installment price going to be?
18 times 12 plus 50.
18 times 12, and then that answer plus $50. Remember, anytime that I'm talking about the installment price, you have to include the down payment. So again, this number right here should always be what? Then what your, whatever you're buying is. Should always be bigger. If you find an installment plan that's cheaper than what the cash price is, do the installment plan, obviously, right? So what's 18 times 12?
216.
I got two different answers there. 216 plus 50? 256. 266. That looks weird, huh? So this is my answer, right? So again, now this is what we're kind of doing today on today's quiz. How much interest did we pay? What was the original price of whatever we had? $250, right? So this is my interest, right? The interest. So when we're doing the APR problem at the end, that's the process that you need to remember right there. Okay? So 266, but now it says, by what percent would your installment price be greater than the cash price? What do I do?
16 divided by 250.
Always the original or cash amount. Exactly right. So 216 divided by 250. 6.064 or. So basically, they're saying if you would have paid cash right away, you would have saved 6.4%. So again, that's where you gotta decide, is it worth that $16? And you also have to decide, well, do I have that money on hand? That's the big part of it, right? 24. Or, sorry, are you okay with that? 24, Hector borrowed $2,400 on 1 year simple interest installment loan at 12% interest. The monthly payments were $213.24. Find the amount of interest, the amount applied to the principal, and the new balance for the first monthly payment. So this is basically trying to have you work through the installment plan in a sense. Okay? So, what are we gonna do? Okay? We're gonna take 12% divided by 12, right? Because we need a what? Monthly rate. Right? Gotta have the monthly rate. 12 divided by 12 is 1, oh, sorry, should be 0.1, right? Okay? So what are we gonna use that for? What's my amount of interest? So what am I gonna use this for? Take your 2,400 times 0.01, and we get what? $24? Everybody right?
Yeah.
Basically, look, 2 decimal places, just move it 1, 2. So what's $24? This is my interest. Okay, so it says though, where are we at? The amount applied to the principal. How do I find that? Perfect. $213.24 is my monthly payment. There's no argument with that, right? Some people are still confused, kind of, I think, where we get this. This monthly payment would be supplied to you by whoever did this for you. All right, so if you got your sofa from Sears, Sears would do this for you. Okay?
How come we don't move the decimal place over 2 places for that? If it's 12%, we do it.
It's not a percent.
Say it one more time.
Never mind.
Okay. So what am I doing with this?
Subtracting 24. Define the amount applied to principal.
So we should have what? $189.24. Now again, what's this mean?
That's the amount that they applied to pay off the.
Exactly right. So the amount that it pays off to the principal is the amount that they're using to pay the big bill, right? This is my monthly payment, but Sears or whoever is getting $24 because they're going to get their money too. All right? So does the last thing say what's my new balance? So then this number, even though this is my monthly payment, this is the number that I have to take away from 2,400. And we get what?
2210.76.
2210.76. So again now, if they ask me to do this multiple times, this is the new number that I would use to recycle through the problem. So basically, this number right here just goes into that spot right there. If you have to do it for more than 1 year, or sorry, more than 1 month. That make sense? So then, this number for the second rotation would do what? This number should go down, this number should go up, just a little bit. Okay? Because the biggest amount of interest should always be my first monthly payment. The littlest principal payment should also be my first payment. And then that should grow, and this one should go down. Make sense? Yeah? Awesome book. 27. This is what we were doing on the quiz. Okay? So some of us need to really pay attention. Somebody read 27, please.
1 year, $2,200 loan at 10%. After paying on the loan for 4 months, Gary has a balance of $1,498.87. She decides to pay off the loan with the next payment. How much will she have to pay?
All right. What the heck are we going to do? 1490.87. It's a good start. Why are we doing 112? Because I want one monthly interest payment, right? But again, some people tried to use the original amount. Don't use the original amount. We're only doing it on what we have left over to spend, or sorry, to pay off. Okay, so go ahead.
Could you do like the rest of the months? Probably just do 1 month. Like, could you do 8 over 12? Because you don't you have like 8 months left and everything.
But I'm just going to pay off, but I have to include the next month's interest. I don't care about the rest of the interest because I'm paying it off.
You're paying it off so you don't have to pay the next one.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So a sense, if you wanted to figure out the other way, what you're saving, then you could use that. Okay? So, anybody stick this in a calculator? 12.42. Everybody agree? So now, what's this mean again? This is the interest I'm paying on what's left over. I have to still include this one more payment of interest. But the answer to the question is what? Right. So what's the answer to the question? Those two right there, we're adding them together. Okay? Everybody good with that? All right. So then, if they said, well, how much did I save? Then we're looking at, or how much did I end up paying? Right? That was one of the questions in the question for today. How much did I end up paying? Well, this right here, this payment right here was interest on what month? On the 5th month, right? So how many months have we paid? We've paid 4 months. Did they give us a monthly payment? And this one, so we can't extend this problem to what we did on the quiz because we didn't have the monthly payment. But if they would have said, I have no idea, I'm making something up here, $210 per month, then I would have taken my 210 times 4, and this right here would have been what? How much I've already paid on whatever I bought. Okay? So I've already paid this, but this right here was the amount that I paid to pay it off. So the grand total that I would have paid would have been this amount plus my 840 or whatever it happened to be that I'd already done for those previous 4 months. That make sense?
Are we gonna have a question on this test, like we'll be on the quiz where we have to figure out the monthly? Because if we do, and they say like you have payments of $210 a month, is that including or not including your interest?
That includes the interest, but that includes your entire monthly payment,
That's your difference.
but you're not getting all of that towards the principal.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
How about justice again?
Yeah. So the 210 is.
So like over here, we already did one of those, right here. This is my monthly payment, but the interest is a part of that $213.24, so I only got $189.24 $39 towards my bill. So that's kind of what you're talking about there.
How would we find how much interest he saved by paying it off early?
Okay, so then we're going to, you would have to know how much you're going to have. So if this was $210, I'd have to take $210 times whatever the grand total was supposed to be. And then I would get this amount, and I would subtract this from the amount that I paid, and take that and divide it by my original amount. We can't really do it in this one because they didn't give us enough information. We'd have to look at the one on the quiz to go back there, if you want. I think, but that's the gist of it. So you have to go and figure out what your grand total would have been, and find out how much your interest would have been at the beginning, and subtract those two.
How is adding what we already paid to the interest the answer? For our payment?
For which one?
127?
This isn't how much we paid. This is how much is left over in our balance.
Oh, yeah.
And then we added one more month's of interest is all. So that's how much, because we're asking how much is it gonna cost us to pay off what we owe. We wanna be done with it.
Right.
So this is my balance. That's what I still owe, but I have to pay one more month's of interest on top of what I owe. Okay?
I feel like I missed this stuff. I get the 210.
Made it up, because they didn't give it to us in the
Still like my business. Hold it
I
out.
was trying to make it like the one on the quiz just a little bit ago, but they didn't give us that information, so I made it up.
Alright.
So you kind of, yeah, not really, but.
So basically, that whole second half line was sitting here like,
I was so confused.
what is going on?
All right, last one. And then we can go back and look at the quiz if you want, because that'll be easier. Last one we want to look at is number 29. This is our annual percentage rate, so we would have to again use the table. So go back to page 196. Maria borrowed $400 on a 12-month loan with a finance charge of $39. Find the finance charge per $100 of the amount financed and the annual percentage rate. What are we gonna do?
So it's $100 per $100, so isn't it just?
What do we have to do with $39? Divide it by the total, right? So you're always going to take your finance charge, divide it by your principal. Donald?
10.269.
What?
It's 0.0975.
0975.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's what he said, it was easy.
I did 400.
It was Easton. Alright, what do I do with this? Times 100. Because why? Because the table says per $100. So basically I'm moving this 2 places. My 975 is what I'm taking to the table. So how many payments did we have? 12 payments and $9.75. Look at on your chart.
That's big.
17. He said 17.5. All right, questions there?
Yeah, like, so is there 2 answers then? Kind of finance charge?
Yep, right here, 975 is one answer. And then we take 975 to the chart and use it with 12 months to get 17.5%.
Could I come in your green fifth and ask questions?
I'll come in
How do
too.
you find the finance charge then?
I'll come in.
They gave it to you. Or, okay. You would take your installment price. Did we do one of these? Oh, right here. So if we had an installment price, and then we knew what the original amount was, we would subtract those, and this would be my finance charge. The difference between the two would be the amount that is my finance charge. How much, so think about how much extra did I have to pay to do the installment or the loan?
The 16 would be the finance charge.
Right. And so then, the 16 is like the 39 in our answer, or sorry, our problem. And then we would have taken that divided by the amount that we borrowed or did the installment on. And that's how we get this decimal.
So not the one that you actually paid when the cash payment?
Say it one more time.
Which one do you divide it by? Or
Oh, yes. This is what it was,
original?
yeah, whatever your watch was or whatever. The original price, the cash price. They would call that the cash price. So if you couldn't afford that, then you would go to the installment price.
Yes. Could you number 5 on the quiz?
Yeah.
That's the one with the months.
Yeah, I got like.
That was very close.
Number 5. Justice, you need to leave again. Because this is on the quiz that you haven't taken.
All right.
Take your books. We're only like 2 minutes. Go sit in the hall.
I'll take it second period before this class tomorrow.
Perfect. All right, number 5 says, Antonio took out a $2,300 simple interest loan at 7.5. His monthly payments were, after making 4 payments, his balance was, blah, blah, blah. So, this one's a lot like this one right over here, but has all the, I guess, goods of the problem. Okay, so, it says, what is his final monthly finance charge? I'm taking what I still owe times my monthly periodic rate. So 0.075 divided by 12. Or 0.075 times 1/12. That would have been the exact same thing we did over here. Okay? This is just combining the rate and the time together. We want 1 month. So if you punch that into your calculator, I believe you get $9.51. Okay, so that's answer number 1. Then it says, what was the amount of his final payment? Take this and add it to 1521. That's what I did up there, right? When I circled the 2 and put my plus sign. So my grand total for this is 1531.01.
Why don't you have to add what Rick paid for the monthly payments?
Because this right here is what I have left over. They're not asking me what I've already paid for. They're asking me what is my final payment. So my final payment combines the interest with what my balance is left over. We haven't gotten that far yet, essentially, to your question. Okay? So, everybody good with that? Then it says, blah, blah, blah. How much interest would he have paid if he paid for the entire 12 months? So what are we going to do for this one? For the entire 12 months, I first need to figure out how much I would pay if I did my entire installment. So what were my monthly payments? $206.04. I'm going to take that times, what is it, 12? 12. For a grand total of?
24.72.
Perfect. Okay? So that's my installment price. I want to know how much interest I paid, so I know that whatever I bought was $2,300. So I'm going to subtract the 2 and get $172.48. That's my next answer.
That's the, what, the interest is the whole thing?
That's if I would have paid interest for the entire 12 months.
So that's your interest.
That's the interest I would have paid if I would have kept up the installment plan the whole time. But we cut it off, right? We cut it off after basically payments. So the last one says, how much interest did he save by paying it off? So for my last one, I am going to do, again, now this comes back to this number right here. How many payments did I make? 4, right? So it was 206.04 times 4, because I made 4 payments of my total, or monthly payment. Again, I didn't get all of this towards my principal, but that doesn't matter. Okay? So 16, 4, 2, 8. I would have taken this plus this. These two have to get added together. Okay? And then you would have subtracted it from 2,300. And then you would have done a division. You would have taken these two and added them together. And then subtracted it from your original amount again. And you would have got, I think it's like $55. 55 something? So I would have taken 172 minus 55, and I believe it was like 117 or something.
Okay, I'll be back.
Yeah, I'll be back. Not you.